Captain Michael Drake stood alone atop a crumbling hill, the desolate landscape of New York spread out before him. The night sky, usually a comforting blanket of darkness, now blazed with the ominous light of alien spacecraft. Each ship, sleek and malevolent, cut through the night with precision, their engines humming a sinister melody as they descended towards the city below. Drake's gaze was fixed on the largest of the ships, its silhouette outlined against the swirling clouds. The Zolarians had arrived, and their intent was clear. The towering alien vessel, bristling with weaponry, cast a long shadow over the smoldering remnants of what had been a thriving metropolis. The tranquility of the night was shattered by the sharp, rhythmic pulses of the ship's energy cannons, tearing through the cityscape with devastating efficiency. "Captain Drake!" A voice crackled through the static of the comms device strapped to his chest. Dr. Elena Reyes, the brilliant but nervous scientist, was trying to reach him amidst the chaos. "We've detected a massive energy surge. It's coming from the Central Command ship. We need to understand their technology if we're going to fight back." Drake's jaw tightened as he adjusted his grip on the rifle slung over his shoulder. The Zolarians had underestimated Earth's resolve. He turned to face his small team of survivors, their faces etched with determination and fear. Among them was Sergeant Brian Cole, a grizzled veteran with a reputation for quick thinking in dire situations, and Private Lily Chin, the youngest member, whose wide eyes betrayed a mix of bravery and terror. "All right, listen up." Drake's voice cut through the din of distant explosions. "We've got to fall back to the command center and secure the data before the Zolarians destroy everything. Reyes, we need every bit of intel you can gather on their tech. Cole, Chen with me. Everyone else, hold this position and provide cover." Cole nodded, his eyes narrowing in focus. "Understood. We'll give them hell, Captain." The team moved swiftly through the wreckage, the cityscape a grim tableau of shattered glass and twisted metal. The air was thick with the acrid scent of smoke and burning debris. The once familiar streets were now unrecognizable, twisted by the alien onslaught. The constant roar of energy blasts overhead and the crackle of distant gunfire created a cacophony of destruction. As they approached the command center, a towering edifice that had miraculously remained partially intact, Drake's comms device buzzed again. "Captain." Reyes' voice was strained. "I've identified a weak point in the alien shield matrix. If we can get close enough, we might be able to breach it. But we need to act quickly." Drake's eyes hardened with resolve. "We're moving in. Stay sharp, and don't let your guard down." The command center loomed ahead, its steel and glass structure battered but still standing defiant against the alien assault. The team fought their way through the remaining Zolarians, whose relentless advance was met with fierce resistance. Each step closer to the center heightened the tension, the stakes mounting with every alien they encountered. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the area. The ground trembled, and a shower of debris rained down upon them. Drake ducked instinctively, his heart racing. Through the dust and smoke, he saw a massive Zolarian warrior emerge, its armored form imposing and relentless. Its eyes glowed with an unsettling malevolence as it advanced, aiming to crush any remaining resistance. Drake took a deep breath, steadying his aim. This was the moment of truth. He had to hold the line and ensure the survival of his team. As he prepared for the confrontation, he felt a surge of determination. The Zolarians had come to conquer, but Earth would not fall easily. They would fight, they would resist, and they would push back with every ounce of their strength. The fate of humanity hinged on their next move. The battle had just begun, and the world watched in anxious anticipation as the fight for survival unfolded. The command center's gutted remains offered little protection against the chaos unfolding outside. Captain Drake and his team moved cautiously through the debris-strewn hallways, their footsteps echoing off the metal walls. The air inside was thick with the tang of ozone and burnt circuitry, remnants of the alien onslaught that had ravaged the building. "Captain, we're nearing the core," Dr. Elena Reyes announced, her voice barely audible over the persistent hum of damaged machinery. Her eyes flickered with a mix of anxiety and determination. "Once we breach the security protocols, I should be able to access their mainframe. But we have to be quick." Drake glanced at the clock on his wrist, its numbers casting a cold glow in the dim light. The Zolarians' assault was unrelenting, and every minute counted. Reyes, make it fast. We need that intel to turn the tide. Before Reyes could respond, Sergeant Brian Cole tapped Drake on the shoulder, pointing to a flickering light coming from a side corridor. Captain, looks like we've got company, Cole said, his voice grim. Not Zolarian, though. Drake nodded and motioned for the team to take cover behind a shattered console. From the shadows emerged a group of ragged survivors, their faces smeared with grime and their clothes torn. Leading them was Sarah Mitchell, a fierce woman with a defiant gaze and a tactical vest that spoke of her military background. Mitchell, Drake called out as the survivors approached. Didn't expect to see you here. Sarah's lips curled into a wry smile. I could say the same. We've been fighting our own battles, scavenging what we can and hitting the Zolarians where it hurts. What's the situation? Drake explained the urgency of their mission, the need to access the alien technology, and the dwindling resources they had. We need your help, he concluded. If you have any intel or supplies, now's the time to share. Sarah's eyes met Drake's with an understanding nod. We've intercepted communications about a crucial alien data hub. It's heavily guarded, but it's our best shot at finding a way to disrupt their command structure. We've got a small team ready to move out. If you can provide the diversion, we can get in and out. Drake considered the proposal. The plan was risky but necessary. All right, we'll create the diversion. But be prepared for heavy resistance. Cole, Chin, you're with me. Mitchell, take your team and stay in contact. As the survivors moved out to their designated positions, Drake's team prepared for the imminent assault. The distant thud of alien footfalls grew louder, each step resonating through the rubble. The Zolarians were advancing, their weapons pulsing with menacing energy. Drake's team took their positions near the command center's main entrance. The plan was simple: draw the Zolarians' attention away from the survivors' route. Drake's heart pounded as he scanned the area, searching for any sign of the enemy. The first wave of Zolarian soldiers emerged, their armored forms slicing through the darkness with chilling precision. Drake signaled his team to open fire, their weapons lighting up the night with a burst of energy. The Zolarians responded immediately, their own guns blazing as they sought to suppress the human resistance. Drake's strategy was to keep the Zolarians engaged while the survivors executed their mission. Explosions rocked the command center as Cole and Chin covered their retreat, each shot fired in precise coordination. The battle raged on, a fierce clash of light and sound. In the midst of the chaos, a sudden surge of enemy reinforcements stormed the area. Drake's pulse quickened as he realized the situation was spiraling out of control. Cole, we need to fall back! Drake shouted, his voice strained over the cacophony. Just as they began to retreat, a tremor shook the ground, and the command center structure started to collapse. Dust and debris poured down, obscuring their vision. The Zolarians pressed their advantage, their relentless assault driving Drake and his team further into the wreckage. The team fought with grim determination, their efforts a desperate bid to hold their ground. Drake's mind raced, calculating their next move as he fought off the alien forces. The battle for survival was far from over, and the odds were growing ever more daunting. As the dust began to settle, Drake's comms crackled with a desperate transmission from Mitchell. Captain, we've secured the data but are pinned down. We need extraction. Drake's eyes narrowed with resolve. Hold tight, Mitchell. We're coming for you. The night was far from over, and the fight for humanity's survival had reached a critical juncture. The battle lines were drawn, and the true test of endurance and strategy had only just begun. The command center was a shadow of its former self. Ruined and partially collapsed, its interior now looked like a war-torn ghost town. Amidst the debris, Captain Drake and his team took refuge, their breaths coming in heavy, ragged gasps. The battle had been intense, and the urgency of their situation was palpable. Dr. Elena Reyes worked furiously at the makeshift control station, her hands flying over a tattered console. The alien data hub was proving more complex than anticipated. Sweat dripped from her brow as she deciphered alien code and navigated through layers of encrypted security. We've got the data, but the Zalarians are closing in, Reyes said, her voice tight with concentration. We need to download this before they breach our position. Sergeant Brian Cole was peering through a shattered viewport, scanning the perimeter. Captain, we're running out of time. They're regrouping and bringing in heavier firepower. Private Lily Chen, still visibly shaken from the earlier battle, checked their ammunition and medical supplies. We've got enough to hold them off for a short while, but we need an extraction plan. Fast. Drake's mind raced. The data Reyes had managed to secure could turn the tide of the war. They needed to get it back to the remaining human forces and use it to their advantage. But with the Zalarians' relentless push, their window of opportunity was rapidly closing. Reyes, how long until the download is complete? Drake asked, his eyes never leaving the distant glow of alien artillery. Just a few more minutes, Reyes replied, her fingers dancing over the controls. But we can't stay here. The Zalarians are adapting to our tactics. If they find us, we're done for. Drake nodded, his expression resolute. Cole, take Chen and set up a perimeter. I'll coordinate the evacuation route. If we can buy enough time, we might just make it out. Cole gave a sharp nod and moved swiftly to secure their defenses. His experience was evident as he set up barricades and laid traps, his movements precise and calculated. Chen, despite her nerves, assisted with efficiency, her face set with grim determination. As the minutes ticked by, the sound of approaching alien forces grew louder. Drake's pulse quickened. He glanced at Reyes, who was now visibly tense as she worked to finalize the data transfer. Captain, we're almost there, Reyes said urgently. But I'm seeing increased activity in their sensors. We've got to move soon. Drake's eyes were fixed on the viewport, watching as the alien forces advanced with unnerving precision. The Zalarian strategy was clear. They were aiming to overwhelm the command center and prevent any chance of escape. Everyone get ready, Drake ordered, his voice steady despite the mounting pressure. We're going to create a diversion. Cole, you'll take Chen and set off the explosives. It'll buy us a few minutes. Reyes, once the download is complete, we'll head out through the maintenance tunnels. As the team prepared, Drake glanced at the screen one last time. The download was nearing completion, the data bars inching closer to full. With a final burst of energy, Reyes completed the transfer and shut down the console. The command center shuddered as Cole detonated the explosives, sending a plume of debris and smoke into the air. The explosion drew the Zalarians' attention, their forces momentarily disoriented by the blast. Drake's team moved swiftly through the maintenance tunnels, their path lit only by the flickering emergency lights. The narrow passages were cramped and filled with the smell of rust and oil, but they pressed on, driven by the urgency of their mission. As they neared the exit, the sound of alien patrols echoed through the tunnels. Drake's heart pounded in his chest, each step a gamble against discovery. They emerged into the cold night air, their breaths visible in the frigid darkness. Drake looked back at the command center, now a distant inferno of flames and smoke. The battle was far from over, and their escape was only the beginning of a larger struggle. But they had succeeded in securing vital information, a small victory in a larger war. The team regrouped, their faces illuminated by the pale light of the stars. They were battered, but they had survived. The real fight lay ahead, and they would need every ounce of courage and ingenuity to face the challenges yet to come. The cold wind whipped through the makeshift encampment, carrying with it the faint echo of distant explosions and the ever-present hum of alien technology. Captain Drake stood at the edge of their temporary base, his gaze fixed on the horizon where the smoke from the command center still lingered. The night was thick with tension, and the stars above seemed distant and indifferent to their plight. Dr. Elena Reyes was hunched over a portable terminal, her face illuminated by its eerie glow. The alien data they had secured revealed a critical weakness in the Zalarian command network, a potential turning point in the war. But the challenge now was to exploit that weakness before the enemy could counter it. Captain, Reyes said without looking up, her voice strained with exhaustion. I've identified a key node in their network. If we can disrupt it, we might cripple their command structure. But it's heavily fortified. We'll need a precise strike. Drake nodded, the weight of their situation pressing heavily on him. We'll need to coordinate with the remaining human forces. They're spread thin, but if we can pull off this operation, we might be able to rally them. Sergeant Brian Cole approached, his face grim as he checked his equipment. Captain, we've got limited time. The Zolarians are closing in on our position. If we don't act soon, we'll be overrun. Drake turned to Cole, his expression resolute. We'll make the strike tonight. Gather the team. We'll hit the node hard and fast. Mitchell's team will be our backup. They should be ready. Cole nodded and moved to assemble the squad. Private Lily Chin, still recovering from the previous battles, was tending to her injuries but looked up with determination. I'm ready, Captain. We're not backing down now. The team gathered, their faces set with a mix of anxiety and resolve. The plan was risky but crucial. They would infiltrate the Zolarian stronghold, neutralize the defenses, and target the command node. It was their best shot at turning the tide. Under the cover of darkness, they moved out, the cold air biting at their faces. The path to the Zolarian stronghold was treacherous, winding through the remnants of a once bustling city now reduced to ruins. The alien structures loomed in the distance, their jagged forms casting ominous shadows. As they approached the stronghold, Drake's team used the debris as cover, moving stealthily through the wreckage. The faint glow of alien patrols could be seen, their movements methodical and precise. The team's advance was cautious, each step calculated to avoid detection. Hold here, Drake whispered as they neared the perimeter. Mitchell's team will provide the diversion. We'll slip through while they draw the Zolarians' attention. The plan unfolded as expected. Mitchell's team initiated a series of controlled explosions, drawing the Zolarian forces away from their primary defenses. The noise and confusion created an opening for Drake's team to infiltrate the stronghold. Drake's heart raced as they breached the outer defenses, moving quickly to the command node. The alien technology was alien and intimidating, its complexity evident in the intricate patterns of its interface. Reyes worked rapidly, her fingers flying over the controls as she bypassed security systems and accessed critical data. We've got incoming! Cole shouted, his voice tinged with urgency. The sound of alien reinforcements was growing louder, their footsteps resonating through the metal corridors. Drake and his team fought desperately to hold their position. The clash of weapons and the searing light of energy blasts filled the air. Every shot fired was a step closer to either victory or defeat. Reyes's voice cut through the chaos. We're almost there, Captain. Just a little longer. Drake's resolve hardened as he fought off the Zolarian attackers. The battle was fierce, but he refused to back down. The data they were retrieving was too important, a potential game-changer in the war against the Zolarians. Finally, Reyes gave a triumphant shout. Got it! We've compromised their command node! With a final push, Drake and his team made their retreat. The stronghold was in disarray, the Zolarian forces scrambling to understand the disruption. They fought their way back through the ruins, their path illuminated by the distant flames of their earlier diversion. As they emerged into the cold night, the exhaustion and relief were palpable. The mission was a success, but the war was far from over. They had struck a significant blow, but the Zolarians would retaliate. Drake looked at his team, their faces weary but determined. We've done it! We've given humanity a fighting chance. But this is just the beginning. We need to prepare for whatever comes next. The night was still and cold, but there was a renewed sense of purpose in the air. The battle had been fierce, but the hope for victory shone brightly in their hearts.